They hit go live, expecting laughs, chats, and connection, but what followed was sudden, heartbreaking, and irreversible. From influencers collapsing mid-sentence to fatal on-screen accidents no one could have predicted, these real-time tragedies unfolded in front of stunned audiences. Everything seemed normal, until it wasn't. These aren't viral clips or scripted drama. They're real lives, ending in real time. This is 1 hour of most shocking deaths of influencers while live streaming. A live streaming session meant to entertain quickly descended into tragedy when a fire broke out in the apartment of a Japanese gamer. What began as a casual display of a new fire-starting tool during a Minecraft break would end in disaster, leading to the death of one person and the destruction of multiple buildings. The streamer, a 40-year-old man known online as Daisuke, had been broadcasting from his home in Japan. Known to his followers for his gaming content and online tricks, he had gained a modest audience. On this particular day in 2015, Daisuke was live streaming a Minecraft session, a game that has captured the imagination of millions across the globe. Minecraft, originally created by Marcus Notch Persson and later acquired by Microsoft for $2.5 billion, is a sandbox game known for its limitless creative possibilities. With multiple game modes and a vast community generating endless content, it is one of the most recognizable video games in the world. Whether building vast landscapes or speedrunning in survival mode, players around the globe engage with the game in deeply personal ways. Daisuke was one of many streamers who shared their gameplay live, connecting with others while immersed in Minecraft's voxel-based universe. During the stream, Daisuke decided to take a brief intermission for a smoke. Instead of using a regular book of matches, he opted to showcase a new oil match lighter. He poured lighter fluid into it on camera and spent several minutes attempting to ignite a flame. When he finally succeeded, the lighter suddenly ignited far more dramatically than anticipated. He dropped it, and in the confusion, placed the burning striker in what appeared to be a nearby container filled with paper or tissues. What followed was a sequence of escalating misjudgments. A small flame emerged, but rather than smothering it or using a fire extinguisher, Daisuke attempted to control the fire by piling flammable items on top of it. Among them, a plastic bowl, a cardboard box, and a dry blanket. The stream captured viewers frantically alerting him to the danger as the flames grew. But within moments, the situation became uncontrollable. The fire rapidly engulfed the room. Local media reported that it spread beyond Daisuke's home, consuming neighboring apartments and affecting 2 additional buildings. The blaze was so severe that firefighters spent 6 hours bringing it under control. Tragically, the body of a woman was discovered in the aftermath, marking a devastating end to what had started as a casual online stream. Daisuke's residence was not a private gaming studio, but the second floor of a home he shared with his 68-year-old father and 73-year-old mother. The fire has raised questions about safety, preparedness, and the responsibilities of live streamers when engaging in potentially hazardous demonstrations on camera. The incident stands as a haunting reminder of how quickly everyday actions can spiral into catastrophe, especially when broadcast live to an audience. A miscalculated attempt to entertain ended in irreversible consequences, leaving a community in mourning and a city scorched by the flames.
November 26, 2021, in Kongsberg, Norway. Tor Eckhoff, better known as Apator on YouTube, was preparing for another daring stunt. At 57, he was famous for his extreme activities like ice skating and swimming in frozen lakes, all while drinking vodka. He had over 1.2 million subscribers who eagerly watched his content. That day, he went to Jacob's Dam, a frozen lake, planning to skate on the ice while filming himself. It seemed like just another typical Friday for Tor. Tor was known for taking risks in his videos, often skating on thin ice or diving into freezing waters. He loved nature and adventure, and his stunts were a mix of humor and danger. Before starting his filming, he sent his partner, Tove Skjøven, a message with photos of himself at the lake saying the conditions were good. But things took a tragic turn. While filming, the ice beneath Tor cracked, and he fell into the freezing water. Though he had been in icy water before and always managed to escape, this time he couldn't pull himself out. Locals nearby heard his cries for help and immediately called for rescue. Firefighters and divers arrived quickly, pulling Tor from the water. He was rushed to Ullevål Hospital, but by the time he arrived, it was too late. Tor had been underwater too long. On November 27th, the day after the accident, doctors made the difficult decision to turn off life support. Tove and their son Johannes were with him in his final moments. It was a heartbreaking and sudden end for a man who had spent his life pushing boundaries. Tor's stunts were always dangerous. He skated on frozen lakes, often using a chainsaw to carve his way, and took freezing dips while drinking vodka. His unique mix of adventure and comedy made him a beloved figure in the YouTube community. Just 5 days before his death, Tor had posted a video celebrating his 57th birthday, humorously titled, "I am not dead, I am 57 today." In it, he sat in an outdoor bathtub, drank vodka, and filmed quirky moments like kissing a tree. Ironically, it would be one of his last videos. Fans were shocked and saddened by the news of Tor's death. Many saw him as more than just a YouTuber. He was the epitome of fearless adventure. His final video, which had nearly 2 million views, was filled with comments from fans expressing their grief. Some called him a legend, while others shared how his videos had brought joy to their lives. Tove shared her pain in a heartfelt Facebook post, recalling the events of that day. She described how Tor had messaged her with excitement about the lake, only for tragedy to strike. She explained how the divers had tried to save him, but couldn't because he had been underwater for too long. She ended her post by saying, "We have endless good memories, and we miss you so indescribably." Tor's death, while tragic, was not entirely unexpected. His stunts always carried risk, and those who followed him knew it. He had lived life on the edge, constantly testing his limits in dangerous situations. Unfortunately, on that cold November day, the risk caught up with him. In the wake of his death, tributes poured in from fellow YouTubers and fans. Swedish YouTuber Niemen wrote on Twitter, "He died doing what he loved, producing his wacky and nonsensical videos that never failed to make people smile." Other fans shared similar sentiments, remembering the laughter and excitement Tor had brought to their lives. Tor's YouTube channel, which he started in 2006, was filled with content that reflected his adventurous spirit. Whether it was road trips, sunsets, or ice skating stunts, his love for nature and adventure was always clear. In an interview, Tor once said, "When you are ice swimming or messing around almost naked in the snow, you have a limited amount of time before you get too cold. During that time, you just have to handle the cold mentally." His mental toughness allowed him to push through challenges, but even his strong will couldn't save him in the end.
Morning of March 11th, 2025, and Airi Sato was live streaming from Tokyo's Shinjuku ward. Thousands of viewers were watching the stream, but none of them could prevent the horrific act that would soon unfold live on screen. What seemed like another casual broadcast ended in tragedy, exposing a dangerous side of parasocial relationships in the digital age. At 22, Airi Sato was a well-known figure in Japan's live streaming community. Based in Tama, Western Tokyo, Airi had been creating content since her high school days. Her streams were grounded in real life, showing mundane, everyday moments that resonated with a wide audience. She was particularly active on the Japanese live streaming platform WhoWatch, where she had gained a devoted following. Among her followers was 42-year-old Kenji Takano from Oyama, Tochigi Prefecture. The two reportedly became acquainted in 2021 through her streams and later met in person as Takano would visit a restaurant where Airi worked. Over time, their interaction took on a financial dimension. Beginning around 2022, Airi frequently borrowed money from him, often citing forgotten wallets, locked accounts, or urgent financial troubles. The amounts escalated, totaling over 2 million yen, roughly $17,000. But Takano still wanted to help the young woman. Takano allegedly borrowed money himself from loan agencies to continue supporting her. Despite his support, Airi never repaid him. Takano eventually sought legal recourse and won a court case regarding the debt. Even then, no payments followed. According to messages Takano sent to acquaintances, he felt manipulated, listing the numerous justifications Airi had used to secure money from him. On March 11th, Airi announced a new live stream. Takano saw the post and traveled approximately 60 miles to Tokyo. He identified her location in real time using visual clues in the video, familiar buildings and landmarks. At approximately 9:50 a.m., near the Takadanobaba train station, he found her. What followed was an act of unbelievable cruelty. Witnesses and viewers described what followed. Around 6,500 people were watching live when Airi suddenly began screaming for help. The screams, according to a nearby construction worker, lasted for several seconds. Some viewers attempted to call for help in the live stream's chat. Then, the screen went black. On the street, a witness saw a man in dark clothing and a black hat repeatedly stabbing Airi. She fell to the ground. He remained standing over her, appearing calm. Another passerby called emergency services. When police arrived minutes later, they found the suspect still at the scene. He was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, which would later be upgraded. Ari was rushed to the hospital but was pronounced dead shortly after. The cause? Multiple stab wounds to the neck, chest, and head. Police recovered a knife with a 5-inch blade nearby. Takano had 2 survival knives in his possession. In the immediate aftermath, online chaos erupted. Ari had not yet been publicly identified, and another popular streamer, Mogami Ai, was wrongly assumed to be the victim. The voice actor's agency had to issue an official statement denying her involvement and confirming her safety. They also condemned the unauthorized use of Mogami's images in connection with the case. As news of Ari's death spread, so did shock and sorrow. Viewers posted frantic comments online, confused and horrified by what they had witnessed. The incident reignited conversations in Japan about stalking, parasocial boundaries, and violence against women in public spaces. It also showed the growing risks that influencers face when sharing their lives in real time. Kenji Takano, though initially charged with attempted murder, is expected to face full murder charges. Authorities have also launched a psychiatric evaluation to determine whether he is mentally competent to stand trial. In the wake of the attack, Japan, a country where violent crime is rare, is left to reckon with yet another high-profile stabbing, this time one carried out in full view of thousands. May 13, 2025, in Zapopan, Jalisco, Mexico. Valeria Marquez, a 23-year-old model, entrepreneur, and social media influencer, was live streaming from inside her beauty salon, Blossom the Beauty Lounge. She had over 100,000 TikTok followers who regularly tuned in to watch her share beauty tips, fashion advice, and updates from her glamorous lifestyle. But something was different that day. Valeria appeared tense. At one point during the stream, she quietly expressed her concern, saying she was worried. Maybe someone had intended to harm her. Her viewers could sense she wasn't joking. Earlier, 2 men had visited the salon. One wore a mask and claimed to be a delivery driver. They said they had an expensive gift for her, but when asked to leave it behind, they refused, saying they'd return later. When Valeria learned about the visit, she brought it up during the live stream, openly questioning the men's intentions. She wondered aloud if they had planned to take her away or do something worse. Her unease was evident, and she remained unsure of who the men were or why they had come. Valeria wasn't just an influencer. She had started modeling at 16 and worked with brands like Vicio Vanidad. In 2021, she won a local beauty pageant called Miss Rostro, which helped grow her online presence. Her content featured private jets, yachts, luxury shops, and travel. But she also spoke about her past. In one video, she admitted that she used to spend time with dangerous people, but had since changed her life. She had worked hard to build a new image and opened her own salon in Zapopan. But that didn't protect her. During the stream, after expressing her concern, someone off-camera called out to Valeria. She responded with a quiet, "Yes?" A man then handed her a Starbucks coffee and a small pink stuffed animal. She smiled, referring to it as a piglet. For a brief moment, everything felt normal again. Then suddenly, the masked man pulled out a firearm and shot her in the chest and head. Valeria collapsed. The stream was still running. Viewers saw the scene unfold in real time. A person, possibly an employee, turned off the phone. Valeria died at the scene before paramedics arrived. Authorities later said the 2 men had come back on motorcycles. One entered and asked for Valeria by name. The other waited outside. They fled before police got there. Officials said the attacker didn't seem to know Valeria personally. It looked like he had been hired. Local media speculated that her death might be connected to her past. Some reports claim she had previously been involved with a man known as Double R, a key figure in the Jalisco New Generation cartel, which has strong ties to the area. Despite its wealthy appearance, Zapopan is deeply connected to organized crime. Valeria wasn't the only one targeted that day. Just 2 kilometers away, former Congressman Luis Armando Córdoba Diaz was also killed in a shopping mall by men on motorcycles. Authorities are still investigating if the 2 incidents were related. After Valeria's death, her TikTok was deleted, and her Instagram, with over 223,000 followers, became a place for tributes. Flowers were left outside her salon. The windows were dark, and her once bright name sign now sat in silence. President Claudia Sheinbaum offered condolences and promised to identify those responsible. The case is being investigated as a gender-based crime, which in Mexico is treated under special legal protocols. In 2024 alone, there were more than 800 reported cases of such violence. Many more likely went unreported. Though Valeria had hinted in past messages that someone from her past could harm her, authorities found no official complaints or records from her. The mayor confirmed she never asked for protection. The case is still open. No suspects have been arrested. Surveillance footage and social media activity are being reviewed. Valeria was later buried in Jalisco, but even her grave was vandalized. Her death gained wide attention not just because of how it happened, but because it showed how public figures, even successful, visible women, are not always safe. In places like Zapopan, danger can hide behind even the most polished image. And for Valeria Marquez, what began as a normal live stream turned out to be her last. It was just after midnight on November 18, 2024, in João Pessoa, a city in northern Brazil. 24-year-old Amanda dos Santos Barbosa had just left a party with friends. The night had been filled with dancing, laughter, and music, exactly the kind of moments she often shared with her thousands of social media followers. Amanda was well known online for her bold personality and high-energy videos. She also owned an eyelash business and had recently opened a new location back in March. As they drove through the Bancarios neighborhood, Amanda was filming content for Instagram and TikTok. She climbed halfway out of the SUV sunroof, wearing heels, smiling and waving her phone as she recorded herself. Her friends laughed and filmed from inside the vehicle. Minutes later, things took a terrible turn. Surveillance footage captured Amanda sitting on the roof of the moving SUV. Two friends were also standing up through the sunroof. The road was dark and active with traffic. Suddenly, the car braked. Amanda lost her balance, slid off the side, and hit the pavement. What followed was even worse. A black car waiting to turn onto the road began to move forward. The driver didn't see Amanda lying on the ground until it was too late. The car struck her. Multiple cameras recorded the entire scene. Amanda lay motionless as bystanders rushed to help. Someone nearby filmed others trying to assist her. She was unconscious and people tried to keep traffic from getting too close. Emergency responders arrived quickly and took Amanda to the emergency and trauma hospital in João Pessoa, but her injuries were too severe. Doctors could not save her. She was pronounced dead later that morning. The two young women who had been in the SUV with Amanda were taken to the civil police station to give statements. One of them, who owned the vehicle, claimed she had not been speeding, but Amanda's family still had concerns. Her aunt, Sandra Cabral, spoke to the press asking for a full investigation. She wanted to know how fast the car was going, where Amanda had been positioned, and what led to the fall. Amanda's stepfather later confirmed that her organs had been donated. Her mother also gave an emotional interview, saying she had begged Amanda not to go out that night, but she didn't listen. Not long after Amanda's passing, a voice message she had sent through WhatsApp surfaced. In it, she spoke casually about dancing on moving cars, saying she danced on the roof, threw herself onto the window, wherever she felt like it. She added that if she fell, it was okay. She'd go to the hospital and come back. But this time, she didn't come back. Police, led by investigator Getulio Machado, launched a formal investigation the same day. Footage from nearby businesses and the party venue was collected. Authorities also re-interviewed witnesses to clarify their stories. They were still analyzing the evidence and had not yet determined if anyone might be responsible or if any traffic laws were broken. Amanda's social media content became part of the case. One video showed her smiling through the sunroof, music blasting in the background. It was her final post. Just weeks earlier, two other Brazilian influencers, Aline Tamara Moreira de Amorim and Beatriz Tavares da Silva Faria, lost their lives after a party boat sank near São Paulo. Police said the boat was overcrowded and the two had declined to wear life jackets. These incidents sparked debate in Brazil about the risks some influencers take for online attention. Amanda had fans, a growing business, and a strong presence online. Her family described her as a loving, lively person who always told her relatives she loved them. The bright lights, music, and videos stopped that night in João Pessoa. Amanda's story ended at an intersection, but her case remains open. Authorities are still trying to understand what truly happened. In 2022, a horrific crime in Lurgan, Northern Ireland, shook the nation. A young pregnant woman was found murdered in her own home. As the investigation unfolded, the suspect emerged as someone accused of orchestrating a calculated and deceptive plan to evade justice, one that would give him an alibi supported by multiple other people. Natalie McNally was 32 years old and 5 weeks pregnant. A determined, inspirational woman who had lived with type 1 diabetes since childhood, Natalie was thrilled to be expecting her first child and had a strong bond with her close-knit family. Her partner was Stephen McCullough, a 33-year-old man from Woodland Gardens, Lisburn. He worked in digital media and maintained a YouTube channel under the name VoteSaxon07, where he regularly engaged with his 37,000 followers. On the night of December 18, 2022, Natalie was stabbed to death in her Silverwood Green home in Lurgan. She suffered multiple stab wounds, compression to the neck, and blunt force trauma to the head. Stephen initially appeared to have an airtight alibi. Multiple people could confirm it. The night of the murder, he live-streamed himself playing Grand Theft Auto, Vice City for over 6 hours. Dressed in a Santa hat and black t-shirt, he drank beer, vaped, and claimed technical difficulties prevented him from interacting with viewers in real time. He told followers the stream was spontaneous and that he couldn't see comments due to his setup. This live stream initially led to Stephen being ruled out as a suspect when he was first arrested on December 19th. But upon deeper investigation by cybercrime experts, it was revealed the stream had been pre-recorded days earlier and broadcast as if it were live. In a later police interview, Stephen admitted to having recorded the footage between December 13th and 14th, then playing it back on December 18th. He claimed he had been drinking alone and fell asleep that evening. As the police pieced together CCTV and other evidence, they concluded that Stephen had traveled to Lurgan and returned home after the murder. Surveillance footage showed a man believed to be Stephen taking a bus, where he revealed a yellow glove under a black glove while giving change, matching a yellow glove fragment found in Natalie's blood at the crime scene. A taxi driver's account corroborated that he had dropped a man matching Stephen's description near his Lisburn home. Notably, there was no activity on Stephen's phone from 6 p.m. to 11:16 p.m., a suspicious window coinciding with the murder timeline. The phone became active again just minutes after the taxi is believed to have dropped him off. Even more disturbing was Stephen's behavior in the days following Natalie's death. He claimed to have discovered her body and inserted himself into the grieving family's lives. He attended their home, expressed condolences, and even left his mobile phone behind to record a 40-minute audio file, an act detectives interpreted as an attempt to eavesdrop on private conversations and gauge whether the family suspected him. The recording, described as a gross invasion of privacy, further convinced investigators of his manipulative intent. During his bail hearings, prosecution barristers described Stephen as a calculated, cold, and dangerous individual. They emphasized his capacity for deception, noting how close he had come to evading justice entirely. His internet search history revealed chilling questions about the most painful ways to die, showing the disturbing level of premeditation involved. Judge O'Hara described him as a particularly skillful and manipulative individual, and a master of media manipulation. Bail was denied due to the risk he posed to witnesses and the ongoing investigation. The McNally family, devastated by the loss of Natalie and her unborn son Dean, have remained steadfast in their pursuit of justice. Over 1,000 people gathered in Lurgan Park at a rally organized in Natalie's memory, calling for an end to violence against women. Her brother Brendan described Natalie as a role model, resilient, full of life, and excited for motherhood. Stephen McCulloch remains in custody.
July 3rd, 2018, a tragic accident unfolded at Shannon Falls in British Columbia, Canada, when 3 well-known YouTubers from the High on Life travel group lost their lives. Riker Gamble, Alexei Liak, and Megan Scraper, known for creating thrilling travel content, were exploring the area that day. Their adventurous spirit, which had attracted millions of followers on social media, ultimately led to a devastating outcome. Riker and Alexei, both from Vancouver, started the High on Life YouTube channel in 2012 with their friend Parker Hughes. They wanted to inspire people to explore the world, take risks, and live fully. Over time, the channel gained over 500,000 YouTube subscribers and over 1 million Instagram followers. The group became famous for their daring adventures, often showcasing extreme stunts in breathtaking locations. Megan Scraper, a former field hockey player and social media consultant, later joined the group, bringing the same love for exploration and adventure. Their message was always about living in the moment, pushing limits, and making the most of life. On the day of the accident, the group decided to swim in one of the pools at the top of Shannon Falls. The waterfall, standing at 1,099 feet, is the 3rd highest in British Columbia. Though it's a beautiful spot, it's also known for its danger due to slippery rocks and strong currents. As they stood near the edge, Megan tragically slipped on the wet rocks and fell into the waterfall. Seeing her fall, Riker and Alexei immediately jumped into the water to save her. But the strong currents overpowered them as well. In a matter of moments, all three were swept down the waterfall, plunging nearly 100 feet into the pool below. Witnesses were horrified as they saw their friends disappear. Emergency services were quickly called, and search and rescue teams from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP, and Squamish Search and Rescue arrived. Despite the rapid response, the recovery was difficult due to the dangerous terrain and strong water flow. It took hours to recover their bodies, which were all found by the end of the day. The news of their deaths spread quickly, leaving their fans, friends, and families heartbroken. Social media was flooded with tributes to the three, who had inspired so many to live adventurously. The remaining members of the High on Life team released an emotional tribute, calling Riker, Alexei, and Megan the kindest, warmest, and most driven people. They expressed their deep grief, saying, "The world has lost a great deal of light with their passing." The British Columbia Coroner's Service confirmed that their deaths were accidental, caused by the fall from the top of Shannon Falls. The slippery conditions, caused by mist and algae on the rocks, were cited as contributing factors. John Wilcox from Squamish Search and Rescue explained the risks of areas like Shannon Falls in an interview. He described the rocks as polished granite, often covered with mist and lichen, making them extremely slippery. He warned that exploring such areas carries significant danger. This incident also drew attention to the risks taken by extreme adventure content creators. High on Life had faced criticism before. In 2017, Riker and Alexei, along with another group member, were fined and banned from US federal lands for 5 years after walking on sensitive hot springs in Yellowstone National Park. Despite the controversy, their fans remained loyal, drawn to the group's message of living life without limits. In one of Riker's last Instagram posts, he emphasized the importance of living in the moment and enjoying life, which resonated with his followers. The deaths of Riker, Alexei, and Megan left a lasting impact on the YouTube community and their fans. Their passion for exploring and living life to the fullest inspired countless people, but their tragic end shows the dangers that come with extreme adventures. Shannon Falls, while beautiful, remains a dangerous place, especially for those who underestimate its risks. Authorities continue to warn visitors to exercise caution and to be mindful of the hazards when exploring such areas. It was June 26, 2017, in Halstad, Minnesota. Mona Lisa Perez, a 19-year-old, was in her home with her boyfriend, Pedro Ruiz, 3. They were a young couple, deeply in love, and always looking for ways to make their mark on social media. Their YouTube channel featured a variety of pranks and stunts, some more dangerous than others. On that day, they decided to film what they hoped would be their most popular video yet. Unfortunately, the stunt went tragically wrong. Mona Lisa and Pedro were getting ready to shoot a video where Mona Lisa would fire a .50 caliber Desert Eagle handgun at a thick book that Pedro was holding against his chest. Pedro was convinced the book would stop the bullet. He had even shown Mona Lisa another book he'd shot before, where the bullet hadn't gone all the way through. Confident their stunt would work, Pedro set up 2 cameras to catch the action, one mounted on the back of a vehicle and the other on a ladder. Mona Lisa, 7 months pregnant at the time, was hesitant. In the video transcript, she can be heard saying, "I can't do it, babe. I'm so scared." Pedro reassured her, saying, "As long as you hit the book, you'll be fine. Come on." Trusting Pedro's confidence, Mona Lisa aimed and fired from about a foot away. The bullet pierced the book and struck Pedro in the chest. Panicking, Mona Lisa called 911, telling the dispatcher, "We were doing a YouTube video and it went wrong. Please hurry up." Despite the quick response of the paramedics, Pedro Ruiz, 3, 22, was pronounced dead at the scene from a single gunshot wound to the chest. In the days following the incident, the video of the shooting, captured on 2 cameras, became key evidence in the investigation. Mona Lisa was charged with second-degree manslaughter. She pleaded guilty to the charge and was sentenced to 180 days in jail, which she would serve in 30-day increments each year for the next 3 years. She was also sentenced to 10 years of supervised probation and was banned from ever possessing firearms. Additionally, the plea agreement prohibited her from profiting off the video of the shooting. Pedro's family was devastated by his death. His aunt, Claudia Ruiz, told CNN affiliate KVLY, "They were in love. They loved each other. It was just a prank gone wrong. It shouldn't have happened like this. It shouldn't have happened at all." The couple had a 3-year-old daughter and were expecting their second child. Mona Lisa gave birth to their son in September. The tragic incident raised many questions about the lengths people would go to for internet fame. Sheriff Jeremy Thornton of Norman County expressed his confusion, saying, "I really have no idea what they were thinking. I just don't understand the younger generation on trying to get their 15 minutes of fame." Mona Lisa and Pedro's YouTube channel had a modest following at the time of the incident, with around 218 subscribers. Their videos included harmless pranks like Pedro climbing a tree and falling, and Mona Lisa feeding him a donut covered in baby powder instead of powdered sugar. In their last video together, filmed at a fairground, Mona Lisa said, "Imagine when we have 300,000 subscribers." In the wake of the shooting, Mona Lisa's tweet from the day of the incident gained significant attention. She had written, "Me and Pedro are probably going to shoot one of the most dangerous videos ever. His idea, not mine." The tweet was retweeted over 2,000 times and garnered nearly 1,500 replies, a mix of sympathy and criticism.
Started as a light-hearted live-streamed game night among friends, turned into a tragic and disturbing event in the early hours of Saturday morning in Baltimore. The death of 24-year-old Ernest Wilson III during a Facebook Live broadcast has left a city in shock and authorities scrambling for answers. In 2020, Ernest was a well-known figure among his social circle in Baltimore. He worked in a warehouse but had bigger dreams of becoming an entrepreneur. Outgoing and social, he didn't care much for bars or clubs. Instead, he preferred hosting his own gatherings. Known for his creativity, Ernest was notorious for turning board games like Uno and Monopoly into elaborate drinking challenges, often streamed online for his growing audience. Hennessy flowed freely, and his parties had a reputation for being both intimate and exuberant. On the night of his death, Ernest was hosting a drunk game of hide-and-seek in a short-term rental property in South Baltimore. At 2:32 a.m. that Saturday, Ernest began live-streaming the party on Facebook. The caption read, "Buddha Play Hide-and-Seek." The atmosphere on camera was relaxed and energetic. Friends were dancing, drinking, and laughing as music blared in the background. Ernest, holding the phone in selfie mode, announced the start of the game and began to count while others scattered to hide. The moment was playful, typical of the spirited nights he was known for, but the mood shifted drastically. As Ernest searched the backyard for hidden guests, his camera captured something unexpected. A shadowy figure appeared in the frame, climbing over the property's fence. Ernest's confusion was audible as he tried to process what he was seeing. He did not recognize the person. Seconds later, a command was heard telling him to get on the ground. Then came a commotion. The camera was dropped, the frame blurred, and the video cut out abruptly. Authorities were called to the property shortly after. When they arrived, Ernest had been shot. He was transported to a nearby hospital, but was later pronounced dead. Baltimore police confirmed his death and launched a homicide investigation. As of now, no arrests have been made. A spokesperson for the department stated that detectives are following up on all available leads. According to Baltimore City Councilman Eric Costello, police told him that 2 individuals entered the property, announced a robbery, and subsequently shot Ernest. The suspects, who climbed over the fence into the backyard, are believed to have demanded money before the fatal gunfire erupted. The Airbnb was a short-term rental that Ernest did not reside in, but had booked specifically for the night's event. His social media accounts revealed he had been promoting the gathering in advance. One post encouraged people to attend for a $5 entry fee. He also told viewers on Facebook Live that they could reach out if they wanted to come. Despite a statewide stay-at-home order banning gatherings of more than 10 people due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Ernest had stated there were about 15 people present, with room for more. The case has raised concerns not only about safety at short-term rentals, but also about the risks of publicizing private events online. The live stream, which may have caught part of the crime on camera, has become a critical piece of evidence for investigators. It may have also inadvertently drawn attention to the event, making it a potential target. Ernest's death has devastated his friends, family, and those who followed his content. A young man with ambition, known for his energy and hospitality, had his life cut short in an act of senseless violence. The investigation remains open, and police are urging anyone with information to come forward.
Old November night in 2017, when James William Stobie, better known as Stobe the Hobo, was out doing what he loved, riding the rails. Stobie had become famous on YouTube for documenting his life as a modern-day train hopper, showing a dangerous world few dared to enter. His videos were more than just clips of train hopping. They were artistic, with his piano music playing in the background as he crossed vast landscapes. His commentary was dry, honest, and often humorous, providing a raw look into the risks of the lifestyle he had chosen. On November 9, 2017, Stobie was in Maryland, filming one of his latest adventures, but something went terribly wrong. Some reports say his backpack got caught on an Amtrak train, dragging him to his death. Others suggest he may have fallen from a bridge while trying to hop a train and ended up on the tracks. No matter the exact details, the outcome was tragic. James Stobie died while pursuing his passion. Stobie was only 33 when he died, but in those years, he gained a loyal following. His videos were popular not only because of the danger, but also because of his unique style and eye for capturing the beauty of America from a moving freight train. His work had the spirit of Depression-era hobos who rode the rails in search of a better life. For Stobie, train hopping was more than just a thrill. It was his way of rejecting a modern life he found unfulfilling. Born to Michael and Mary Stobie in Colorado, James had always embraced an unconventional lifestyle. Friends described him as intelligent, quirky, and passionate about his interests. His videos often featured his own piano music, blending his creativity with a sense of rebellion against societal norms. As Stobie's popularity grew, so did the dangers he faced. Train hopping is illegal and risky, something he didn't shy away from discussing in his videos. He openly talked about close encounters with train wheels and the dangers of hopping while tired or drunk. In one interview, he recalled an incident where he nearly lost his life after jumping off a train while drunk and fatigued. Despite the risks, Stobie kept going. His fans admired him for it, and on a Facebook memorial page, one person wrote, "He died doing what he loved." His YouTube channel had nearly 11,000 subscribers, drawn in by his honest, humorous, and often thrilling content. Watching Stobie ride through swamps and across plains felt like joining him on his journey. However, his death also brought attention to the real dangers of train hopping. Some speculated about how exactly he died, but the Baltimore Police Department didn't release many details. For the train hopping community, his death shows the risks they face. One user on Reddit warned others about the dangers, writing, "Train hopping is not glamorous or romantic. It will kill you." Stobie's death not only affected his fans, but deeply impacted his family and friends. He was a beloved son, brother, and friend, known for his humor, compassion, and love for life. His obituary described him as a person who would be remembered both for his work and the mark he left on those who knew him. Though his life was cut short, Stobie's influence didn't end with his death. His videos continued to inspire a new generation of train hoppers, like a young man from Colorado named Dancer, who began his own YouTube channel in 2020. Inspired by Stobie, Dancer also knew the dangers, but was drawn to the same thrill. The train hopping community has grown since Stobie's passing, with many trying to honor his legacy while navigating criticism for promoting a dangerous lifestyle. For them, like Stobie, train hopping isn't just a hobby. It's a form of self-expression and a connection to the past. But as Stobie's story shows, it's a way of life that can come with deadly consequences.
It was January 13, 2024, in the Kaiu district of Hawaii's Big Island. Just the day before, Carson Philbin had turned 24. He had traveled from Charlotte, North Carolina, to celebrate his birthday and spend time in a place he deeply loved. His grandparents lived nearby, and over the years, this island had become a second home. Carson wasn't just visiting Hawaii for fun. He was a filmmaker, a content creator on YouTube, and someone who thrived on adventure. His social media showed a life full of energy and ambition. Just weeks before, he shared a post about hiking 34 miles while carrying a heavy gear bag, captioned, "The cameraman never dies." In another, he reflected on the past year and said that 2024 was going to be even better. But just 24 hours after his birthday, Carson was gone. That Saturday morning, Carson and 3 friends, 2 men and 1 woman, headed to South Point, the southernmost tip of the island. The area is known for its cliffs and deep blue water, and also for being dangerous. Locals call it the Hoist, a cliff-jumping site that has taken at least 5 lives in 6 years. Authorities often warn visitors about the risky ocean conditions. Carson was known to take risks. He had skydived, climbed bridges, hiked remote areas, and traveled the world for his work. He had a tattoo on his hand that read, "Why not?" a phrase that summed up how he lived. At around 11:20 a.m., Carson and his friends climbed to the edge of the cliff and jumped into the water. But things quickly went wrong. The ocean looked calm from above, but turned rough the moment they hit the water. All four swimmers began to struggle. Waves crashed, and strong currents pulled them away. Nearby fishermen saw the group in trouble and jumped in to help. 3 of them made it back to shore. Carson did not. A witness spotted him about 75 yards from the cliff, still trying to stay afloat. Moments later, he disappeared beneath the surface. Emergency crews, including the Hawaii Fire Department, joined locals in the search. Divers combed the area. Eventually, Carson's body was found and taken to Hilo Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. Authorities later confirmed he lost his life due to drowning. There were no signs of a medical condition, just a tragic accident in a powerful ocean. Back home in Charlotte, the news was difficult to believe. Many friends had just talked to him. They had followed his travels online, watched his videos, and seen someone full of life. 11 of Carson's close friends gathered to remember him. They spoke with a reporter who had once interviewed Carson. They didn't just grieve, they shared stories, trying to hold on to who he was. Friends described him as adventurous, kind, and dependable. Ethan Kim shared that Carson had changed his life, while Elliot Schultz mentioned his tattoo, saying he truly lived by the phrase, "Why not?" Carson had always been in motion. He ran marathons, once finishing in under 2 hours and 49 minutes. Even when sick in high school, he pushed through a race, saying he had to finish it, even if he had to walk the whole way. As a teenager, his curiosity sometimes got the better of him. He once almost started a fire trying to recreate a spark effect for a camera. Another time, he snuck into a downtown building for rooftop photos. But those moments reflected his drive to create and explore. He studied at the Savannah College of Art and Design, majoring in social strategy. In 2021, he worked for a track-focused media brand, even attending the U.S. Olympic trials in Oregon. By 2023, he was executive producing for a YouTube channel that gained over 30 million views in a few months, taking him to places like Morocco, Japan, and the Netherlands. But beyond the career, Carson made people feel seen. Just weeks before his death, at a family reunion, he spent the night with his 7-year-old cousin Griffin, who thought of him as a star. Online friends, too, mourned deeply. One said Carson was his best friend. On his last night, he shared pizza, cake, and games with loved ones. He was excited to show them more of Hawaii the next day. But the weekend turned into a final goodbye. In the days that followed, family and friends honored him in different ways. Some got tattoos, designs Carson had created. His grandmother even chose the words on his hand, "Why not?" Carson lived fast, fully, and with purpose. His time was short, but he made every moment count. And he left behind stories that won't be forgotten. It was the night of June 8, 2025 in Las Vegas. Rodney Finley, known online as Finny the Legend, was live streaming with his wife, Tanisha, also called Bubbly, near the Bellagio Casino. The 43-year-old couple had been live for over 2 hours, casually walking, laughing, and chatting with their 4,000 subscribers. The stream showed Tanisha in a bright blue jumpsuit and Finny speaking to the camera set on a tripod near the Paris casino. Then, just before 11 p.m., a man walked into the frame. He wore a yellow and black shirt, a baseball cap, and sunglasses. Viewers instantly recognized him, 41-year-old Manuel Ruiz, a fellow streamer known as Sin City Mannywise. He and Finny had been in an ongoing online feud that had lasted over a year. As he approached, Tanisha stepped in front, trying to block him. But he moved past her quickly and raised his arm. Shots were fired. People screamed and ducked. Finny was hit several times. Tanisha, in shock, shouted and grabbed the camera. More gunshots followed. The stream ended abruptly when the device hit the ground. In footage recorded by a bystander, Tanisha was seen lying still, her lower body covered with a white sheet. Police arrived around 10:40 p.m. on the 3600 block of South Las Vegas Boulevard. Finny and Tanisha were pronounced dead at the scene. The coroner confirmed Finny had multiple wounds, and Tanisha had been struck twice in the head. Authorities labeled both deaths as intentional. Ruiz fled the scene, but less than 12 hours later, he turned himself in at a police station in Henderson. He was booked at the Clark County Detention Center and charged with 2 counts of unlawful killing involving a weapon. The feud between Finny and Ruiz was well known in the YouTube community. It began in early 2023 after an incident where Ruiz allegedly sprayed Tanisha with a substance. Though Tanisha recovered, Finny addressed the event online instead of retaliating. From there, the conflict escalated. Finney posted over 50 videos criticizing Ruiz and a local group of streamers known as the Sin City family, which Ruiz was part of. In one video, Finney even said Ruiz had sent him threatening messages. Earlier in 2025, Finney filed a harassment complaint. Just hours before the shooting, Ruiz posted a video where he seemed to be tracking Finney through Las Vegas. In it, he said he was looking for his biggest fan and made several unsettling comments, including, "Wherever you go, I will be there." Authorities believe Ruiz located Finney by watching his live stream. Witnesses later confirmed that Ruiz pulled a firearm from his waistband and fired 5 or 6 shots. When Tanisha reached for the streaming phone, he reportedly fired again. Afterward, Ruiz deleted many of his videos, but some clips survived through Finney's streams where he had discussed them. Finney was remembered as more than a streamer. His friend Derek Ware described him as a father, grandfather, and someone who cared deeply about others. Tanisha, often seen with Finney on stream, was known for her vibrant personality. Her nickname, Bubbly, fit her perfectly. The conflict between the two men had grown over time. Finney often criticized Ruiz's content, sometimes allowing guests to join in. Ruiz also allegedly used copyright strikes to try to remove Finney's videos. Despite this, Finney welcomed different voices on his platform. Ware said Ruiz could have appeared on Finney's stream to explain himself, but never did. After the deaths, Ware was stunned. In court, Ruiz claimed self-defense, saying he thought Finney and Tanisha were reaching for weapons. His request for bail was denied, and he remains in custody. A quiet, late-night live stream from a well-known Italian cosplayer stunned fans across the internet in October 2023. What began as an unusual broadcast with a dark, empty room quickly turned into a harrowing scene that left the online community reeling. The events that followed would spark intense debate, grief, and reflection across the fandom that once celebrated him. Vincent Plicci, a 23-year-old from Bologna, Italy, had become known on TikTok for his elaborate cosplays of Simon Ghost Riley from Call of Duty. As Inquisitore 3, he amassed over 100,000 followers. His content combined his passions, tattoo artistry, music, video games, and Star Wars, into a character that resonated deeply with his fans. But in early October, that admiration turned into scrutiny after accusations of grooming minors surfaced. What followed was a storm of backlash, confusion, and ultimately tragedy. The controversy began when screenshots of Vincent's interactions with a minor, identified as AJ, began circulating online. AJ, along with 2 others, Tito and a TikToker known as Keegan's Mask, allegedly orchestrated a plan to provoke Vincent into saying something incriminating. Messages later surfaced indicating that AJ lied about her age and persistently contacted Vincent. When she offered to edit his videos, he agreed, believing she was an adult. Flirtatious-sounding messages he sent, such as "I'ma marry you" and "Thank you, honey," were later stripped of context and shared publicly. Without background, these interactions painted a damning portrait. Vincent had marked "minors DNI" in his bio, explicitly requesting that underage users not engage with him. Still, the backlash spread rapidly. Keegan's Mask posted the messages on TikTok, omitting key context. Viewers who didn't know the full story assumed the worst. Though Vincent reportedly asked AJ to stop messaging him once suspicions arose, the damage was done. His Discord messages revealed growing anxiety. "I'm very scared, not gonna lie," he wrote on September 20th. "The last thing I want is them seeing me like some monster." After nearly 2 weeks of silence, Vincent's final live stream unfolded. While nothing was immediately clear on screen, a woman's voice could be heard yelling for help. She asked for an ambulance, while someone else said, "He was hanged here." Emergency services were contacted and CPR was attempted, but it was too late. His death was later confirmed by Italian news outlet Corriere di Bologna. In a statement to Sky Italia, his father, Matteo Plicci, expressed devastation, saying that Vincent had been trying to defend himself from dishonor. In the aftermath, fans have created tribute videos and demanded accountability. Vincent's TikTok account disappeared shortly after the live stream, likely due to platform policies or family intervention. Those involved in the accusations, Tito, AJ, and Keegan's Mask, have since issued apologies or left social media altogether. AJ admitted she went way too far and asked others to stop sending threats to those involved. Still, the damage had already taken its toll. In memory of Vincent, a mural was created to raise awareness about cyberbullying and false accusations. The mural was created by several street artists in a collaboration with the municipality of Bologna. "Behind the masks, like the one my son wore, there are people," Matteo said. and behind the user profiles that make accusations, but that you will never know who they are. He has since committed to pursuing further investigation and legal reform in Italy, calling current laws ineffective in protecting victims of online harassment. Vincent's story is a warning that public opinion can shift swiftly and that rumors can be devastating. Behind every username is a real person, and sometimes silence speaks louder than 1,000 comments.
May 28, 2013, in Cornwall, England. Jacob Cockle, a 28-year-old thrill-seeker and professional photographer, stood at the edge of Carnsue Pool, part of the Haley estuary. He had always been drawn to danger, capturing extreme moments through his camera lens. That day, he was about to take on his next challenge, filming a whirlpool created by old Victorian tunnels designed to move sand out of the harbour. However, this moment of adventure would end in tragedy. Jacob wasn't just any photographer. He was known for documenting risky stunts and breathtaking natural events with millions of views on his videos. On this day, he planned to film himself in the whirlpool, wearing a plastic horse's head for a humorous touch. His friend, 70-year-old David Rain, stood nearby with a camera, ready to film. The whirlpool twisted violently, but Jacob didn't hesitate. He believed he knew how to handle it, as he had shared advice on dealing with dangerous waters on his YouTube channel. At around 7:30 p.m., Jacob waved to David and asked for a smaller camera on an 8-foot pole to capture underwater shots. As always, he was fearless, having grown up swimming in the sea. But as the camera rolled, the unthinkable happened. Jacob was sucked into the whirlpool. He resurfaced briefly on the other side, but was quickly pulled under again. David stood helpless on the shore, unable to intervene. Despite Jacob's swimming skills, the powerful water currents took him. There were signs warning people not to swim, but Jacob ignored them. He was a strong swimmer and had faced dangerous waters before. However, the whirlpool was unforgiving. Within moments, Jacob was pulled into an underwater tunnel, vanishing from sight. David, along with a nearby fisherman, called emergency services. Sadly, it was too late. Jacob's body emerged from the other side of the pool, lifeless. David and a passerby tried to revive him, but their efforts failed. Lifeboat crews arrived and airlifted Jacob to the Royal Cornwall Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The cause of death: drowning. Later, an inquest revealed that Jacob had traces of ketamine, a tranquilizer, in his system. It remains unclear whether the drug affected his judgment that day. The coroner ruled Jacob's death an accident, stating that while Jacob took risks, they were usually well considered. In his final moments, he was doing what he loved, capturing the power of nature. Jacob's relationship with the sea began when he was young. Growing up in Penzance, Cornwall, he spent much of his life in the water. His mother, Carolyn, recalled that once Jacob was in the sea, it was nearly impossible to get him out. He learned to swim early and developed a passion for surfing, diving and swimming. But his love for danger intensified after a personal tragedy. When Jacob was a teenager, his older sister Grace passed away from a brain tumor. The loss devastated the family, and Jacob was particularly affected. He and Grace had shared a close bond, even creating a secret language as children. Her death changed Jacob's outlook on life. He began living fearlessly, believing he had to live for both himself and Grace. Her passing pushed him to take more risks, feeling that life was short and should be lived without fear. Jacob's daredevil nature wasn't limited to the sea. He would often take leaps from tall buildings into the water. On one occasion, he jumped from a 3-story building into Penzance Harbour. Another time, he jumped into the harbour outside a nightclub, narrowly avoiding being crushed by a ship. Despite these close calls, Jacob always managed to survive, until this day. Beyond his thrill-seeking nature, Jacob was an incredibly talented photographer. By his 20s, he had won awards from National Geographic and the Sunday Times. His photography, often focused on the sea, captured both its beauty and its danger. In 2011, he took a famous image of 2 surfers being swept off a sea wall by 30-foot waves, nearly losing his own life in the process. His work earned him international recognition. Just weeks before his death, Jacob had won a £28,000 expedition to Antarctica, a dream opportunity for any photographer. But he would never make that trip. His friends and family believed he was on the verge of achieving his greatest ambitions. Yet, in the end, His love for extreme moments cost him his life. Jacob's death left a deep void in the lives of those who loved him. His mother described him as a free spirit who saw no danger in life, while his friends remembered him as someone who lived without fear. His girlfriend Rachel spoke about how, after Grace's death, Jacob felt he had to live life to the fullest for both of them.